I want to touch upon, some frustration that I see voiced time and time again, and that is, hiring labor. And it seems that a lot of folks that's like their number one quarrel there is hiring labor. And a lot of them say that it's geographical. That it's just, we don't have good people in our area. The workforce sucks due to where we live. Do you see that true, or is it more of a systems issue?
I think it's more of, I will say that labor is a little bit easier in some markets than others. And the economy has a lot to do with it, right? When there's, essentially a 100% employment rate, it's a lot harder. Like I'm probably like a lot of the folks here. I was running my fence business during the recession. If I posted a job ad and said, hey, it was like a cattle call. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I posted a job ad and literally there would be 30 people in my office the very next day. And a lot of people with good experience who were just, out of work during the recession. So it was, I don't feel like I had any lower turnover at that point in time, but it was certainly easier to get people to come through the door. Some of our offices are experiencing this effect where they can't even get people to reply. Like, they can't get people to even come in and apply. They call them, they qualify them over the phone, schedule an appointment for them to come in, and then they just don't show up. So I'm not going to say that it's geographically, like it does make a difference. But I think what makes a bigger difference, especially when it comes to retention, is the people, and a little bit with recruiting, but it boils down to two things. Like, are you somebody that people want to work for, right? You're the leader of the team as the business owner, especially for smaller companies. I did all of my hiring up to, I don't know, probably the 3 or 4 million mark. I pretty much hired everybody and trained a lot of them. So, do people, when they meet with you, do they want to come and work for you? Are you the type of person that people want to come work for? And that comes, and whether people understand it or not, that comes across in your job ad. These days, in a tight labor market, you have to advertise as if you're advertising your company to a customer. You'll be like, hey, it's great to come work for Superior Fence and Rail. Like, hey, come work with me, Scott. I've got the best marketing company in the world. We focus on fence. It's exciting. It's great. There's great opportunities for growth. You're going to love it here. You've got to sell people on coming to work with you, especially if you're in a tight labor market. Then that people have to want to come work with you over coming to do something else. And the fact is, this is hard work in the heat. When we're talking about labor, like specifically like install labor, not just the office positions or the sales positions, it's hard work in the heat. So you've got to get people a little bit excited to show up for work. And if you can get those good people to come in, having the right systems in place so that they come in and, the fence boss isn't having a blow up because, one of the sales reps made a mistake that was easily preventable, and they got out to the job and the customer was all pissed off because the fence is going in the wrong place, or it's the wrong type of fence, or the wrong color, or the wrong style. If you have a business that's full of issues, it's hard to kind of recruit people into that environment. But it's a tough problem to solve because it's almost like the cart before the horse. Like, can you get the good people in and then put the good systems in place around them? I think you kind of have to have the systems in place and then recruit good people into that. But you've also got to be a good person that people want to work with.
So they need to know what they're doing, have that system laid out. Where are they advertising for people? What do you recommend there? And then once they got them, how do they keep them? What's that look like as far as bringing them in, training?
Right. Well, as far as recruiting is concerned, any available venue for recruiting people, Indeed, Monster. I don't love the paid advertising for recruiting. What I found is that it gets you just a ton of like paid advertising for recruiting gets me a ton of bad resumes. That's been my experience. Although so we tend to post our ads more widely and more consistently. So what a lot of people don't realize is that when you post a job ad, it could be buried within a day, right? By other people who are also looking for qualified people. So you have to, if you're going out fishing for somebody, especially in this economy, and if you're in a tough, geographic area, you got to put a lot of lines out and be patient and keep, recasting, basically reposting your job ads over and over again. And then for retention, I can tell you this, retention in this business, in the installation labor, has got to be, I'd throw it out against any other industry. It's got to be one of the toughest, industries to recruit and retain into. If we can get people to 6 months, we feel pretty confident that they're going to stick around for a long, long time. I mean, we've got great benefits. We've got, health insurance, a very generous health insurance plan, great 401k, good training. Our employees voted us one of the best places to work in Jacksonville 2 years in a row. But up to the 6 month mark, we have like an 70 or 80% turnover rate and installation, like no matter what we do. There's still a high turnover rate. And no matter what we tell people, there's this point at the end of every interview where, we've had a good interview. I kind of put my paper down, push back from the table a little bit and say, okay, here's the deal. This is hard work in the heat. And a lot of people say they can do it and think they can do it, but you really can't. So are you sure that this is for you? And people will swear to me that they're going to be here every day, that they're going to show up. And people that I truly believe think that they can do it will be calling their girlfriend to pick them up off the job site on day one because it is just too hard. So we really try to ramp up our efforts when the weather's cooler, especially here in Florida. Starting somebody in July is really tough, but if we can get somebody in November, December, or January and give them time to get acclimated to working outside in the heat, that helps a lot. But it's not an easy problem to solve. So you got to kind of throw everything at it and try to distinguish yourself from everybody else who's competing for a tight labor market.